3.
Hello. I'm assuming we're on stream now. Alright, so tonight I'll be streaming Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected for all of you, specifically the Ponspector percent category, or is also known as all Ponspectors. So I have a goal for all of you in chat for this run. I want you guys to reach $5,000 if something happens. So at the beginning, there's a chance that the characters say, that symbol in the cutscene. If that symbol is said, I want you all to reach that $5,000 mark, okay? Sounds good to all of you? Alright, so I'm going to do a countdown here, and we'll get started. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That symbol.
That symbol.
Alright, now that we've made it past that, I will introduce my commentators for all of you. So first off, I have Aeon here. Or Aeon
Hey.
Frodo.
I run 80% for this category. For this game, sorry. For this category.
Yep, and we also have Evan XC.
Hey guys, what's up? I run New Game Plus for Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
So starting off here, we're not going to explain the story just yet, we're going to explain RNG really quick. So this first fight is our first instance of RNG in the game, and Aeon, do you want to talk about this fight really quick?
Oh yeah, it's really annoying. Sometimes wolves move in different ways that you can't control, and you gotta hope that they move in a way that is really beneficial. We play a Shulk for, I think, the entirety of this category. At least I know we play for the entirety of 80%, so yeah. So this looks like a really good formation.
It was a flawless
yeah,
Volf
that
formation.
was really good.
Wow. Okay. That is the best Volf I've ever had in this category. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, was that like a one? That looked like a.
It was a sub 120 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So
definitely sub 120.
121, I think.
120, 121. Oh, that's really good. That's my best one for this category. So yeah, that's our first instance of RNG. Those Volf can move wherever they want, and they were in a literally perfect formation there.
Make sure
Pretty
you go
much
to
can't get better than
Crossroads.
that. Yep, and I will go to Crossroads. There's 2 instances where I tend to forget things, so this is the first one. So now, going... Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
okay, so now going over the story here of Future Connected. Future Connected is the epilogue of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, which came out on the Wii and recently got a remake on the Switch. And it's a relatively short game. It probably will take you about, I'd say 3 hours to just play the game. If you're doing all the questing, you're probably going to take around 5-ish hours, maybe more than that. Pretty much the story for it is Melee and Shulk are going back up to the Imperial City, Alchemoth, and on their way, their ship gets shot down by a mysterious laser, and later on we'll find out that laser is a mysterious beast called the Fog King. The Fog King is terrible and loves to destroy our runs. That about sums up the entire
I can tell
game.
you all about that.
Yeah, and we'll get to that once we get to actual Fog King. But there's more features that I think I'll let these two go over about Xenoblade 1, because I'm actually not really qualified to talk about them.
Yeah, so in Xenoblade 1, well, in the main game, you have visions. In Future Connected, you don't have visions. So visions are like, you get like a prediction of an incoming attack, and you can prevent that in Xenoblade 1. But in Future Connected, because Shulk doesn't have that anymore, you can't see the future, and therefore you can't stop an impending attack. And this is like really important for some fights, and we have to deal with the attacks as they come. Other things that are not in this, are in the main game, are skilled links and skill trees. We don't have those in this game. We just have our basic skills, and we have limited party members as well.
So
Let's also talk real quick about these little guys right here. They are called the Napun, and they're these little... Nobody really knows what they are. They're like these fuzzy volleyball things that are other life forms that live on the Bionis. and yeah, they're basically just the comic relief characters for this series, but they've kind of become a staple at this point.
And
This character,
yes.
uh,
These ones are incredibly important because they're the Ponspectors. And that's the whole point of this run. So these guys are, there's 12 of these wonderful, wonderful Prospector, Ponspector, you know, they're actually called Ponspectors, so call them that, please. And they, you know, they're just trying to map out the Bionis shoulder. Nothing else. They have no ulterior motives. I promise you. That's the only reason they're here.
Yeah, I should also mention that this area of the game originally was supposed to be in the original game, but they cut this area out. But they use this area as now for Future Connected, which I think is a really cool way to reuse an area that was originally meant for the main game.
So right now we're coming up on what used to be one of the worst parts of any percent before it was routed out, but of course we still have to do it here. And you want to talk about Evelyn a little bit?
Evelyn sucks. Basically, first, there's two sections of Evelyn you have to do. First, you have to take out 3 Sardies. We have a meme in the Discord where people pretend to be Sardies. And yeah, it's...
It's really... I'm like making this look fine, but the goal here is to kill 3 Sardi in total. And the problem with that is the Sardi go wherever they feel like. You don't really have any control over where they spawn or where they go.
It's just a nightmare to deal with, RNG-wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the problem is also, you want Nene to be able to attack as well. And Nene's a Nopon, and she's pretty short compared to Melee and Shulk. So that sometimes she gets too deep in the water and she cannot attack and help out to make this whole thing faster.
That was actually a relatively good Sardi. You didn't see the really horrendous RNG. So if it's really bad RNG, we'll have to actually go swim out to the Sardi and aggro them that way instead of luring them. And actually, an important thing to mention really quick about lures. Lures can miss in this game, which is really, really annoying. And
it's unique to this game as well.
Yeah, it's completely unique. It's not in any other Xenoblade game. Just this one.
And main game as well.
Yep. But basically, that's our first 2 RNG checks of the game. Pretty much every run in Ponspector percent and old any percent used to reset by this point, if there were RNG issues. The next time we have RNG is related to a collectible. So you see those blue orbs I collected called Morocobs there. Those are collectibles, and we are going to look for something called a Sky Mole later. And let me tell you, if we don't get a Sky Mole, it's immediately a 1-minute time loss, and it's really kind of too bad.
Collectible RNG is always the greatest.
Yep, absolutely. Sky Moles have a 20% chance to drop. We collect exactly 5 points that can drop Sky Moles. So, theoretically, you should, of course, always get a Sky Mole, but you never know. The RNG could get really terrible sometimes. Alright, and this point is kind of just a walking section if you have any donations to read.
I do. As promised, this guy are sick donates $80 for 4 dead Yarnies, but their sacrifice got us a world record. Thanks Midwest Speedfest again for having us. Thank you, this guy are sick and Miss Ray, for a fantastic Unraveled 2 run.
Alright, we can probably fit in one more as well.
Excellent, because I do have $25 from Anonymous that just says, that symbol.
That's simple.
Symbol.
So, coming up here, we're reaching our 3rd Ponspector. This is Fafora. And Fafora, we're just going to talk to Fafora for now, and then we're just going to walk away. We don't actually care about what Fafora has to say at the moment. We have to go kill some Chromar. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to go to one of the, kind of the first skip in the game. This is, I think it's Scapular Lance skip is what we called it. It's dropping down, and it skips a massive walking segment that would, I think it was either like 1 or 2 minutes of time that we managed to reduce by doing this fall. And it's been revised multiple times, so I'm going to try and do the newest revision. The newest revision is sometimes it's a bit up to RNG on how many things are aggroing you, and it looks like we're going to be able to do it. So this is the fastest way down, is to kind of just slide down this edge here and fall on this rock. And we barely survive, but we survive enough to make it, and that's all that matters. So now we skipped a massive walking segment, and I can open the map here to show you guys. Actually, I can't, but yeah. Once we open the large, like, overview map, you'll be able to see that massive, huge, like, line that we're supposed to walk.
Just to explain fall damage grows in increments depending on how far you fall. So, I think we suffered like 70%, which is like the maximum we can handle. Well, at max HP, it takes like percentage of your max HP. So that was like 3,416 damage, if I remember correctly, and that's 70% of Shock's max HP. If we fall any further than that, you just die. So that's how close it is.
Alright, today we're going to be brave mortals and talk to Nanona here. Okay, we talked to Nanona. We're also going to ignore Nanona. Nanona will become relevant much later. But we're just going to set it up for now. We're actually going to do... This is kind of the first part of the game where it really is going to start diverging from any percent. And we're going to kind of get back onto any percent. And then we're going to leave it entirely. So coming up here, we're walking through the Forbidden Husband. There is no other name for it. Shout out to Aeon's stream for coming up with that one. And once we get to the end of this, we're going to reach a place called the Quarry. And in an any percent run, we would actually just warp away. It's faster to just warp away. But in this run, we do something very specific that's a little bit different. Nanona's quest takes place in the Quarry. And instead of doing that quest when you kind of normally would get in there for any percent, we do it far earlier because we're actually going to use a Union Strike there to finish it off. And we're going to set up some stuff so we're able to. And we'll go over Union Strikes once we get 3 Nopon of different colors here, which will be actually quite soon, so you'll be able to see that.
I guess we should probably mention the whole thing with the Ponspectors. Our whole goal for this category is to recruit all 12 of the Ponspectors to our side for us to be able to use them during battle. And the way that we recruit each of them is by doing a quest specific to each one of them. And also, in case you hadn't noticed, the Ponspectors are actually all just named after numbers from 1 to 12.
Yeah,
so
in German. Yeah.
They're named 1122, Dry Dry, Fafora, Fifa, Hekasa. So, little tidbit of information there, although I like to make fun of Ragu because he always says Woon Woon instead of 1-1, despite the fact that they're named after numbers.
Yeah, it's spelled out that way. But another thing I should mention here while we're talking about things that are kind of bad about what I say, I haven't actually finished playing Definitive Edition yet, unlike pretty much every other Xenoblade Future Connected speedrunner. So that will come up at some point, for sure. So we die there on purpose, don't worry. It's completely on purpose. We need to essentially get that warp, and then we just leave. So the fastest way to do that is to die, rather than run away and try and lose aggro. So the next part of the game here, we're going to take quite a long walk again after getting another Ponspector Deca Deca. We're actually going to get Deca Deca, unlike the previous ones where we just kind of like walked past them and we're ignoring them for now. We get to actually see combat. I know it's kind of crazy to say. It's been so long since we had any. It's been since Sardi. But coming up here, we're actually going to start getting some fights in. So this fight...
I thought we just got beat up.
Huh? What was that?
I thought we just got beat up, though.
Oh yeah, we just got killed, yeah. we may not have fought, but hey, at least we were able to die to some stuff. You got to see the death animation. Hopefully we don't see that too much more this run. I don't actually think we use it any other places. Okay, so here we kind of hope that these bugs move in a specific pattern. It doesn't look like they did, so we're not going to get a fast kill on them, but that's okay. It's not that much slower to get a slower kill. It's only a few seconds. But of course it would have been nice if we were able to show that. And here is our third Ponspector, Deca Deca. Deca Deca is a blue Ponspector, so we don't actually have Union Strikes yet, so we're not able to explain them, but trust me, it's soon.
Yeah, Deca Deca is not too out of the way to get as well.
So one thing this game kind of likes doing with the Ponspectors is yellow and blue flag Ponspectors, and you can tell their color by the flag that they have on their back. Those ones are relatively easy to get. The red flag Ponspectors, which we haven't actually seen any of yet, those ones are far more difficult to actually encounter, like to do their quests. They tend to be quests that are more in like the 70 range. So we tend not to get any of them except for the easiest possible one in any percent. But of course this category gets all of them, so you will see all of those quests eventually.
Remember to go get set here.
Yep, absolutely. This is another place where
thing
it's
he
kind of
summoned.
easy to forget some stuff in the run. So we're going to just kind of fall off a cliff really quick, and then we're going to have some time for donations, so here in just a moment. This fall, it looks like you're going to die. You can die. Be a little bit careful about it, but you'll live if you get the right angle, and we should have some time for donations if you have any.
I do have one from Wildcard Twitch. They donated $5. Message: good luck, Ragu. May the king of RNG be in your favor.
Thank you. Okay, it doesn't
Would also
really...
like
oh.
to...
Sorry, you can
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, I would also just like to mention that the Super Mario 64 input display has been met, so we get to see the flips and the jumps and all the hops displayed right in front of us, so that's awesome. Thank you, everyone.
And that is going to be a great run. Make sure you're on for that. It's going to be very enjoyable to watch. All right,
Apparently,
oh.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, coming up here, we're coming up on our next Ponspector set, and we're actually going to do set's quest right away, and it's one of the most risky parts of this entire run. It's the next RNG kind of stop that we have in this category. Also, some very difficult jumps. I should talk about the jumping in this game, because this is the first point in the game where it becomes kind of a problem. I'm making this look extremely easy. Everywhere in this area that I'm jumping, there is some weird surface that we can't walk on, and if you jump incorrectly, or you just continue walking, you will slide off the side and fall into those birds, and those birds are kind of high-leveled, and they will kill you. You have no power over
One's a
it.
UM as well.
Oh yeah, one of them is a UM, which is a unique monster. We don't actually kill any in this run, but 100% has the joy of running around and killing all of those. Which I heavily suggest watching. If you have the time, go watch a 100% run of this game. It's absolutely hilarious. Specifically the RNG, because it has collection RNG. That's even worse than this one. Yeah, so we're coming up on Alchemoth here, but before we go there, we have to go kill some birds. Just for fun. Okay, so, oh yeah, and everyone, put your not suggestions, but put, like, a guess on how many times these birds are going to use the move called Gale. The average is 2. Sometimes it's 3. I've had up to 8. So, we'll see how many we get this time. And we don't want Gales. We want as few as possible.
Right, so these birds are actually pretty high level, and this can be a pretty tough fight if you're not really doing everything properly. As Ragu mentioned, these birds can use the move Gale, which every time they do loses about 5 seconds, just right off the bat. There's one already right there, so we gotta hope that that doesn't happen as many times. Yeah, so it really can just be up to RNG sometimes, and it can be pretty scary. There's also something we need to worry about with tension in this game. As you continue to fight, your tension builds up, and it becomes easier to land attacks. But as you start missing attacks, your tension goes down, and it becomes a lot harder to hit these enemies. And because these enemies are a much higher level, that can actually be a huge issue. So we need to really make sure that we can keep that tension high and pay attention to that and continue to encourage our allies. Because Ragu has definitely had it happen before where he lost tension and wasn't able to hit any, and almost ended up dying because of it. But it looks like he got through this just fine.
Okay, yeah, that was only 2
that
Gales.
seems like in every fight.
Yeah, so if tension goes down, your allies will just start missing, and you'll start missing, and it just becomes absolutely terrible. So it was a total of 2, so I'm guessing GD is in chat right now, and GD definitely won again, because GD always guesses 2. So coming up here, we're going to come up, and we're actually going to go into Alchemoth now. We're done fighting birds. I said that, but we're actually that's lying. There is another bird. There's a big bird that we have to fight. It'll be soon. This is when the fights kind of start
This is
to
not
actually
bad, by
occur.
the way.
Yeah, this is a completely different bird. This one is a far more far less irritating bird. It's actually easier to kill, even though it's like far bigger and far more threatening. We don't really care about this bird. This bird doesn't do much for our runs. Unless your any percent run is at 33 minutes, then you're hoping for some good RNG, but otherwise it's not going to affect us that much. Alright, so we're going to have our next cutscene up here, but we can skip it. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is when we got that first Ponspector 10-2, we had a cutscene that I just had to sit there and mash through. There's 2 of those in this category. There's even more of them in 100%. This game has unskippable cutscenes for anything that isn't directly related to the story. So it can be kind of a pain to run categories with quests in them. Oh, gotta remember to warp in Alchemoth. This is a skip that was found. It's not even a skip, it was just found by Gren. We were walking in this section, it turns out it just gives you the warp the moment you go to Alchemoth. We lost 7 seconds, pretty much. Everyone was losing at it at the time, but...
That was kind of funny.
It was really funny to find that out. Okay, we got 1 dialogue. Oh, we should mention dialogue RNG quick. It's not really a problem, you're only going to lose about a second. But a few conversations in the game have RNG tied to their conversation. So every now and then your allies will start talking at the end. So in that situation, Shulk talked once. That is the minimum you can get. You can get a maximum of 3. And if you get 3, you lose 1 second. And if you take that and put it across the entire run, you can lose, I think, around 5 to 7 seconds to dialogue in Ponspector percent. Which isn't that much, but at the same time, it can be a ton when your run is extremely optimized.
Yeah, for the 80% category, the difference between world record and second place is 2 seconds. So, and that's if you get 2 bad instances of RNG. So, and that's possible in that category.
Okay, so here's our first red Ponspector, so we're gonna have to explain Union Strikes finally. I know I've been mentioning them all stream. So, visions don't exist in this game, chain attacks don't exist in this game, but what does exist in this game are Union Strikes to replace them. So these funny Ponspectors that we have, we can essentially tell them to just beat up a monster for us when our party gauge is full, and that party gauge is the thing in the upper left-hand corner. And they're really powerful. I don't think there's another way of explaining it, other than they do a ton of damage, or they daze, or they heal. And we're gonna pretty much only use the damage one. Yeah, they're pretty much just potatoes of mass destruction, as I think I just saw someone say. They make this run very fun.
One thing worth mentioning, though, is that party gauge that you use for doing the Union Strikes is also used for reviving your allies. So if you decide to use a Union Strike, you then won't be able to revive your allies. So there's a little bit of strategy behind making sure that you use it at the right time, and don't use it if you don't need to.
I need to talk about what just happened. So there's a glitch in this game found by someone named Sonic Shadow Silver, I think, too. And this glitch, it doesn't have her name, I just call it Monado glitch. If you use an art, if you prep the Monado window, so that central icon, which is like a circle with like a swirl in the center, if you press that while using another art and then just press A as fast as you can on another art, there's a 2-frame window. That Monado art will have its damage applied twice. And so we got lucky there, and we actually got that 2-frame window. Also, I got another instance of like really good luck, so I actually miswarped there. There's a route divergence that occurs here. We're going to finish Nanona now, which is relatively early, but that's because we got really lucky and got Union Strike gauge. So this is the first instance where you're actually going to see it. And so hopefully we don't pull... There's a UM in this room, and we're hopefully not going to pull it into combat. So the red one is the damaged one, the yellow one does a daze effect, and the blue one does healing. And all of them do like a bit of damage as well. Just the red one does additional. So we're already done with Nanona. We don't have to care about that anymore. But we do have to care about progressing the story. This is a bit of a walking segment if you have more donations for us.
Oh, was that the first instance of Ponspectors being used?
Yep, it was.
Yeah, so using Ponspectors is like you have a QTE that QTE prompt that you have to hit, They're kind of tight if you want to get an excellent on it, which excellent means you get 100% extra damage on top of the damage you do. Thought that should be mentioned before we go on.
Yep.
And those quick time events are actually pretty tough to hit. As easy as they may look, it's pretty tough to get them perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them are actually quite laggy as well, so it might appear that it's easy, but it's actually quite difficult.
There are also instances where it's actually faster not to get an excellent, and we may see that later on.
Yep, probably, you're not going to see it until the final boss, but once we're there, it becomes really important. And I'll explain that once we see it. So coming up here, we're actually going to get Set, the one that we killed those birds for earlier. And now we have 2 red Ponspectors, 2 blue ones, and 1 yellow, to my knowledge. I should also mention how Ponspector damage works for Union Strikes. It's actually quite important. So it's broken up into 3 different kind of blocks in this game. The first one is Ponspectors 1 to 6. If you have a total of 6 Ponspectors, you have the minimum effects possible. Once you get 7, you get kind of like the middle effect. So at stage 1, you're going to get 3 hits on red, 3 bonus hits. Stage 2, you're going to get 5 bonus hits. And I think stage 3, which is 10 or more Ponspectors, you're going to get a total of 7 bonus hits on red. So more Ponspectors, more damage. But know this, if you play this game, you only need to get 10 Ponspectors to max out that damage. You can't go above that. So that's just kind of an interesting feature that they have in this game. Also, Aluka RNG there. I didn't have to talk about it because nothing happens. There's those 2 like insect things that were kind of moving about. They have an ability called Bind, and Bind will just make you sit there for 10 seconds without being able to move. We got really lucky, neither of them saw us, and neither of them used Bind, so... Luckily, it's not a problem this run.
And it could have happened earlier with the chromas when you're trying to drop down to skip the sculptor lance.
Yep, that too. I tend to forget about that one because that one doesn't happen too often.
Yeah. Also, my bad about earlier, is 60% extra for excellent. Been a little while since I've played this.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm the only person who actually runs Ponspector, so always welcoming to new people who want to play this category. Oh, that was almost frame perfect. That was only a couple of frames off to get that warp. I should also mention how warps work in this game. We have gone through and timed every single warp, so certain warps it's faster to warp to than to walk to, and certain ones, of course, it's faster to walk to than to warp to. So... in that situation, we warp instead of walking, and I've been doing that all over the place throughout this run.
It actually just so happens that the load times in this game are so fast that often as soon as you get a warp point, it's actually faster to warp directly to it because of how far outside the point you spawn and you actually get it.
Yeah, so Ragu actually just collected for a weapon for a Nene. It increases her critical hit rate, which is really important to build up the gauge in the top left corner to get Ponspectors. And also she does extra damage, and because she's a little lower than the rest of the party members, it's really helpful for her to keep the aggro, because she's the one that can tank damage.
Okay, we're just doing some leveling here, not too much to see. This will be important for the rest of the game, pretty much. We're going to just use this set. When we actually fight the dragon, though, we're going to do some more upgrading, because that's going to be an absolutely terrible fight. And we'll talk about that when we get to it, because I know you all met that incentive, and great job on that. It's going to be a very fun time for all of you to see.
Speaking of infamous fights, this is a Ponyo fight.
Oh, this fight has ruined so many runs. It doesn't ruin Ponspector runs as much as it ruins any percent runs, but it is absolutely notorious in any percent for destroying runs.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
really
that.
fun how, oh, yeah.
That is a perfect example.
These are.
So I used Buster there, but it didn't actually do the damage because it used an attack that caused knockback, and so I couldn't get it in, which is really terrible.
Yeah. That would be a much bigger deal if it happened in 80%.
Absolutely. And this run is kind of like, yeah, it sucks, but... oh, I also missed warp there, but this only loses like a couple of seconds if you miss warp, so... you just walk forward and that just resolves it. Okay, so this is one of the easiest fights in the game. We can kind of just do whatever in this fight. And then after that, we have one of the more annoying fights in the game, and
Oh yeah.
it's not better than any percent. It is just as bad and just as annoying. We don't need that. So those things that have been showing up on the screen, those are burst affinity prompts. And those fill party gauge if you succeed on them. And we don't really care because we had full party gauge already. But they also do tension, so if your tension is low, you absolutely want to succeed on those QTEs. So this is Galgar. He was a really nice guy earlier. We didn't talk to him because we just skipped the cutscene he was part of. He's really evil now, because, well, he was evil all along, as it turns out. Okay, we want an excellent. I already sadly failed the excellent, but we're still going to get good damage in.
Yeah, excellent makes this fight significantly easier.
Yep, so it's going to be a bit longer than we would like it to be, but we're over-leveled anyways.
Break on him, though.
Yeah, we didn't get a... We did break. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said we didn't break, and I was very concerned.
Yeah, he still back by heal.
We're going to try to build Ponspector Union strike gauge off of this, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it. That would have allowed us to make another change in the route, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't save all that much time. Yeah, this category is also interesting because unlike any percent, there's a bunch of places where the route can kind of just change based off of your party gauge. So, like, if I had left that fight with full party gauge, I would have actually gone and done Fafora's quest, that one that I put off earlier. But since we don't, we're just going to go and continue the game as usual, because we're going to get an upgraded Monado that's absolutely busted in a little bit, and we're just going to take care of those Chromar in no time at all. But for now, we have to go talk to some guards, and we're trying to find some ether to upgrade the Monado. It's relevant to the story. Fog King is really strong, and we can't hurt Fog King at the moment. So we're going to try and find a way to do so. And now we're going to get our next Ponspector Tutu, but before we do, I think we definitely have some time for donations.
Sure, I don't have any new donations, but I would like to remind people that we do have a shirt from the Yeti this year. Both 2DCon and Midwest Speedfest have shirts over at theyeti.com.
Alright, kind of explaining what we're doing here. So, there's just this big lake under Grandel. There's a quest down here that we have to do, and there's also a Ponspector, very conveniently placed way out of the way. And this is the only time that it really makes sense to do this Ponspector. And this is actually one of the Ponspectors we get in any percent. It's one of the 2 that we get other than 10-2. And it is Tutu. Tutu saved any percent. I'm just going to say that right now. That...
Tutu is the greatest.
Basically, Tutu has no RNG. You just pick up this item, which... Oh, I missed warped here. But, you just pick up that item, you walk over to Tutu, that's the quest. That's it.
Yeah, and you know the unique monster.
Yeah, so before we were doing Evelyn, and obviously cutting out the RNG, Tutu's a bit slower. It's 5 seconds slower if Evelyn is done flawlessly.
But that's extremely unlikely.
But yeah, you have to rely on perfect RNG, and that's kinda... it's not really worth it. By the way, talk to Tutu's good choice. Tutu was telling us all along that Tutu was the best Ponspector to talk to, and we just didn't listen, which was a terrible decision on our part.
Yeah, Tutu's also like a double time save in any percent as well, because you get the landmark earlier. But here you can just like walk up on the beach. I think, yeah, this category.
And also, kind of a thing to note about Tutu's position there, right next to Tutu is a unique monster. If you're any bit to the left more than you're supposed to be, that unique monster will aggro and will kill you. So you want to make sure that you're not, you know, in its aggro range, otherwise that will be a run killer. But it doesn't happen that often. If you just know the UM's there, you can pretty easily avoid it.
Yeah.
So, our good friend Sarja here tells us to go talk to Radzim, which is that kind of like robot person we talked to earlier. We're not going to. We're just going to skip straight to the objective, which isn't on the map, and that quest is complete. They put a flag in there that basically says, yeah, you need to do this, but it doesn't matter when, as long as you talk to that NPC. Okay, so we're going to start the next part of the game. You can't actually accept any quests at this point, and I was supposed to go get Nanona earlier. We didn't get Nanona. It doesn't really matter. Nanona is kind of a weird case where you can get this Ponspector whenever you really feel like it, as long as it's before these fights. You don't lose time or anything. So we're just going to get Nanona now, and we're going to go beat up a mammoth and an antole, and then a dinosaur, because why not? Also, we're brave mortals again because we talked to Nanona, which is great.
We probably should actually mention what's going on in the story right now. It seems like the Fog King's influence has expanded, and it's kind of corrupting all of the monsters in this area, and they're rampaging and attacking all of the civilians. So it's kind of us to stop them right now, and then of course go after the Fog King after that.
Okay, we're hoping Mammoth looks at Nene. It did. So now the next thing we're hoping for is a break. If we don't get a break, we immediately lose time. We got a break. We're lucky. Oh, and... Ooh, that was close. Okay, Sumo Stomp is the move that our good friend Mammoth here will use, and it will destroy you. It'll topple you for a set amount of time, and
it'll topple the entire party, not just you.
Oh yeah, everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, it will topple you. Okay, so... it looks like we're actually doing really well here. Weakening Howl came out, which is really too bad, on Shulk. But we got a topple, so it doesn't matter, because every single attack hits during topple. So Weakening Howl there can be kind of a pain. It makes it so you're kind of like... I'm trying to remember how to say this, but you can't hit it.
Yeah, you lose agility.
Agility, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
You can't hit. Agility is really important for accuracy in this game, as well as in the main game.
Here's a case where we fail. This is the fight
where we purposely get the excellent.
We only get 2 ticks here, and that's so we can build up Union Strike gauge here. So all of these small ones are alive with like 1 health. And we're just gonna... Oh, it doesn't look like we're getting good RNG. That's too bad. Oh, we didn't get good RNG on the damage either. That's really too bad. Ah. Okay, that fight was not great, but hey, you know what? We've done really well everywhere else, so it's okay. What we were hoping for there is that affinity burst that I was talking about earlier. It's almost guaranteed. It's a really high chance, but we just got really unlucky, which is too bad. Oh, invisible dino. That's a new one.
It's a new one. I've seen blocky dino, but not invisible dino.
Yeah. Hey, that's never been seen before. I'm going to use armor to be careful. I don't usually do that, but we're in a marathon, and I kind of want to do that. So Dino's kind of isn't really a threat on its own. It's all of these tiny, like, bird things around it that kind of make it terrible.
Yeah, they're called veins. They're like bats. They're really annoying.
Not to be confused with Skymets.
Which is the most annoying thing about them.
Yeah, so you can see Melly is toppled. Very unlucky, sadly. Also, I should probably go help her instead of just leaving her on the ground. It's probably a good idea. We need... Okay, we got Ponspectors.
Yeah.
That
so
was...
what fills the bar faster is crits, attacks and attacks in the correct position as well. So critical hits and yeah, attacks in the right spot, increase bar faster. Also nice little I saw the bar change from red to yellow.
Yep. Only in this category, that's in no other one. Okay, so now we're gonna go deal with our good friend Fafora. We went to the wrong warp, but that's okay, it's really close by and warping doesn't lose much time in this game.
Yeah, so now you're just cleaning up the rest of the Ponspectors?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the rest of this run for the most part. And then we're gonna go fight Fog King, and that's gonna be a whole other mess. Yeah,
so it's supposed to be like the far part of the game where you're supposed to fight Fog King, but because he hasn't gone all the Ponspectors yet, we're getting the rest of them.
Yep, so our goal here is to first get all of these Chromar in a line, and then we're just gonna Buster. And they're all pretty much dead.
Oh, Buster is so good.
Buster is crazy in this fight. Also, we didn't really need that Affinity Burst. That actually lost time, but that's okay. We can't control when Affinity Bursts come out. And you'd think that we could just finish Fafora here, because, you know, we finished the quest. We should be able to finish it, right? No. Fafora's gonna go make us walk in a massive circle. Because Fafora feels like making us do that today. So now we get to avoid something. So in this fight, in this game, I think Evan earlier talked about fog beasts existing, because whatever Fog King is doing his thing, and making everything evil and kind of annoying to deal with. There is a fog beast over here, and there's also a tutorial tied to fog beasts. So the goal is to never aggro a fog beast in this game, because if you do, you immediately lose time to a tutorial pop-up. Every other one is not avoidable, as far as we know, except that single one. And one thing I didn't get to show off earlier that I should mention as well, that Gaelgar fight we did earlier has a special attribute tied to it that allows you to infinitely fill up your party gauge as long as you die to him in the fight, which I would have liked to show, but we got a really lucky Nanona, so we actually saved time. It loses time if you have the setup, which we did.
Yeah, regarding fog beasts, they pretty much they act like unique monsters, except they're just fog beasts, and I think you get like special affinity points from them.
Yep. So UMs and fog beasts in this game work very similarly. Fog beasts and UMs drop arts coins, which you can use to unlock your arts to I think it's level 10 in Future Connected. It's level 12 in base game. But the weird part about fog beasts that makes them different from UMs is fog beasts have a 100% chance to respawn when you warp. Unique monsters only have a 30% chance, so if you ever want to grind arts coins, just go for fog beasts, because it's way easier than unique monsters. Also, I need a Sky Mole still. You'll see that I'm kind of ignoring points here. Most of these points don't drop Sky Moles, which makes them really terrible. But we'll hopefully get one here soon. We have the 5 points that we actually care about are coming up. That was not one of them. That one was just kind of in our path, so I grabbed it anyways. There's a chance for like a dubious sculpture to drop there, which is a 5% chance, and it's always funny when you get a 5% chance in a run that doesn't need it. So I tend to go for it just for fun. Okay, so Sub-Zero Steel, that's our first one. We have 4 more that we have a possible chance of getting one on before we lose time on FIFA. But first we have to go talk to Hakasa, the most annoying Ponspector in the entire run. If I were to remove one Ponspector from this run, it would be Hakasa. No other one is nearly as bad as this Ponspector. And so, a simple explanation about why Hakasa is so bad. Hakasa requires you to go to her 3 times. This is the first time. The second and third time, you need to walk up a very annoying, I'm not going to say annoying, but a very interesting slope in this game, where you have to jump at like very precise angles to make it up. Otherwise, you're going to lose time. And you need to do it twice. So it makes Hakasa one of the worst Ponspectors to deal with. Also just takes a long time to do. So we're not going to finish Hakasa for a while. We're just saying hi for now and we're running away. This has a chance for being a Sky Mole, and it's a Rainbow Carrot. That's too bad. Still have a few more chances here. 3 more to be precise. There's actually 2 later that we can kind of lose some time. We got a Sky Mole. We don't even need to. Don't need to show a backup.
Congratulations.
Yeah, the run is still going strong. So here's a secret location. You don't see this in any categories except for this and 100%, because 100% requires all locations. And wow, it's so nice. Okay, we're walking away from it. We don't care. And we're going to drop down a cliff, because that's exactly what we love to do in this game. All the time. It saves time. Also, we got really lucky there. We didn't take fall damage. It's not really lucky. You need to hit it at a specific angle, but it's quite hard to hit. And we got our second Sky Mole. This run is it's just extremely lucky, apparently. Sky Moles have a 20% drop rate, just as a reminder for very specific points. That would have been our 5th and final point right there. Yeah, so that's extremely lucky to get in a run. But coming up here, we have FIFA. One of the last ones that we get to deal with. I think our 4th one away from the final, which is Woon Woon, but we can't do Woon Woon for a while, and it's not 1-1 as much as Evan would like to say it is.
I'm not even gonna comment on it.
No.
I'll just let you be wrong.
Okay, so here's FIFA. We're just gonna talk to FIFA twice. You do have to talk twice. You have to say that you've picked up a Sky Mole, and we have. So now we're gonna jump off another cliff because we can. And we're going to go fight a Ferris, which is just a wolf. But we're going to be really good at it, because we now have a really upgraded Monado, and nothing really matters in this game for combat. Except for Fog King. Okay, we're hoping... Okay, Nene took aggro, which means the rest of this fight is an absolute joke, and we're just going to use a backslash and it's dead. There's another scenario in that fight. If you get Nene to use Sword Drive, it pretty much ends immediately, which she didn't do, sadly, but that is completely up to RNG, and it only saves, like, a second or two overall. Ferris are... I see someone's calling them lions. Yeah, they're kind of lions as well.
I always thought they were like half wolf, half lion, something like that.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right. Okay, we're down to 3 Ponspectors left. Our good friend Hakasa and Tete. Oh, I almost warped to the wrong place. We need to finish Hakasa first. At least the first half of Hakasa. So we're gonna go plant a stake. Hakasa wants us to go do some actual work here on the Bionis shoulder. And then go back to Hakasa again. Because, you know, it's so much fun. Okay, we planted the stake, and now we get to warp, and we get to do some funny jumps that I'm going to make look really easy, but no, they're actually evil.
Platforming.
Platforming is just... is very interesting in this game, is all I'll really say about it. Shulk's jump height is tiny and really terrible. Especially when you go from playing Xenoblade 2. Which is a game... I used to run Torna, so going from that... and so I first played Torna, and then I moved to this game. And moving to this game was really interesting, because in Torna you can fly. I won't say much more about it, because that's not the game I'm running right now, but going from flying to barely being able to get yourself off the ground is a very interesting change. Okay, so we're finally reaching Hakasa here, and we get to go talk again, and we'll be back up here soon enough. Don't worry about it. If you haven't had enough of this, it's going to repeat itself again. Okay, so one of the stake that we just planted was stolen, so we need to go redeem it. But first we're going to go talk to Tete, who dropped something in a mine. I actually don't know what it is. I never really pay attention to exactly what it is.
Probably a snack.
Yeah, probably. I know for sure
No,
our
you
Woon
don't
Woon just wants snack, but I don't know if Tete does.
If there's 2 things you need to know about Nopon is that they love eating and they love hoarding money.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Alright, so the nice thing about doing FIFA, when we're supposed to, if we were doing a backup strat this would be a little bit worse, is everything out here can't aggro. We're actually too high of a level. And when you're too high of a level, things don't care about you. They just let you walk by, so...
Except the unique monster
Oh,
that's
yeah,
flying over.
This bird, though, that bird doesn't care about us.
No, it's more of a Petrix?
Terex.
Yeah, it's
Terex.
giant, and it's going all over the map. It will show up when you don't want it to, but in 100% when you need to kill it, oh, it won't be there. You'll have to wait like 5 minutes. Oh, by the way, all jumps. So you'll notice I'm kind of like avoiding jumping in this game. It kind of stops you for a single frame. So the more jumps you do, the more time loss you're going to have at the end. So avoiding jumps is generally a very good idea. So we try and minimize them as much as possible. Oh, look at this great place. I can't wait to turn around and not go there. So basically the way warps work in this game is if we had warped there, it would have put us closer to that entrance, but we got it from like all the way back here. Well, the quest that we want to go to is in this direction, so we want to get that warp and then just go do this quest first, then warp back so we're closer to that entrance, and then we're going to walk in and finish Tete's quest. But for now we have to go finish Akasa's quest, which is going and killing a Tyrken. And hoping this Gogol doesn't see us. If it does, that's not fun, because we have to view an extra animation that loses just a few seconds. Okay, we gotta wait. Now, okay, so you could just run down and go fight that Tyrken in the distance, but if you don't wait here, you will pay the price and you will waste like 10 plus seconds. Actually, that's not good. We aggroed the Tyrkens somehow. So we're gonna have to jump off a cliff, that's fine. That's the solution for pretty much everything in this game. So, yep, we're just gonna go here. That doesn't happen often, it does lose time. But that's the backup. And the nice thing about the backup, though, is that it puts us right here. So we can go do Tete's quest. If we didn't have the backup, we would have just used the warp menu to go to Earth's Necropolis, and it would have been fine. Would have been faster, but this is good as well. Let's hope for some good RNG here. Looks like we got okay RNG. Yeah, not the best RNG there. If the spider and that, like, sort of like egg capsule thing are in different locations, like completely separate from each other, you can just run straight through the center without aggroing, and you can pick it up faster. We sadly aggroed the eggs, but that happens sometimes. It's actually more common for that to happen than to not happen. Alright, now we just got Hakasa and Woon Woon, and that will be it. So we have one more run up to the top, and we get to move on to our final Ponspector. And this is a good time for donations if you have any.
So sadly, I still don't have any more donations for you. But I would like to remind everyone that we are only $285 away from that 5,000 goal that we set at the start of this run. So, you know, if you want to get something going, go for it.
Yeah, let's reach $6,000. This run has, I'd say, about, like, probably 10 minutes on this run, and then we have the dragon fight afterwards. Let's reach the 6,000 mark before that.
Total?
Oh, what was that?
You said 6,000, not 5,000.
6,000? Wait, 5,000. Oh, sorry, 5,000. Yes. Oh, yeah, actually, yes. Let's hit 6,000.
6,000 as well.
Go for it.
You know.
If you guys can reach 6,000, I will be amazed. If honestly, go for it. Here's the cost again.
Oh. One thing that I don't think we actually ever mentioned is that this run pretty much right borders the line of 1 hour when it's done. The world record is like 58 minutes and something, and I'd say it's honestly like a 50-50 chance generally whether or not we get above or below 1 hour.
That's a nice goal for everyone.
So it's usually a pretty exciting thing to see whether or not we can manage to pull out sub 1 hour.
Yeah, the record was actually set yesterday. I wasn't expecting to set it and lower it by an entire minute, but that did happen. So we're hoping that we can lower it even more today. That would be great. Okay, so Woon Woon just wants snack, and we gotta go fight an Igna to get back something. I don't remember. I think it's like a memo or something, which is mandatory for the dragon, which we will hopefully kill at level 70. But we will not be doing immediately. We're gonna actually go fight Fog King first, and then we'll come back and we'll fight the dragon immediately after. Oh my gosh, another Sky Mole. This run is absolutely absurd for RNG. Yeah, come on, let's get a $5 hype train going here. I know you guys can do it. I see you in chat. Got plenty of time here. Hey, it's, you know what? We got 20 minutes left. We have $200. How much is that? It's $10 a minute. I believe in you guys. You can do it.
It will be pretty hype if we can manage to pull out sub hour here. That would be a pretty worthwhile thing to donate some money for.
Oh, absolutely. It's only been done a few times. It's very rare because you need some very good RNG at the very end of the game on specifically Fog King and this Igna fight, which will hopefully go well. This Igna is kind of a pain. We need it to walk down here first for safety. In a normal, like, non-marathon setting, I would probably just let it run, like, just kill it up there. But it's incredibly risky to do that, so we're not going to do that here. Our goal here is to build a full Ponspector gauge, so hopefully we can do that. If we can't, Fog King will be much worse. Nene is not pulling aggro, which is really too bad for us. Look at Nene, please.
Yeah, the problem with having like an upgraded Monado is that it does a lot more damage.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to be going into Fog King with a great amount of gauge, which is really too bad. But hopefully we will be able to still have a good fight. Okay, so Fog King, we need to explain some stuff since that's coming up next. After a 1-minute cutscene that we're just going to spam through, so this is the perfect time to talk about it. So, Fog King RNG. Fog King is a fight where you want affinity bursts. If you don't get affinity bursts, you might lose. It's not unlikely. In Ponspector %, it's a little bit safer. You can tend to make it through the fight without any affinity bursts, but it's still incredibly risky. And to add on top of that, Fog King has a wonderful moveset like toppling you for 17 seconds. and also
Yeah, that's on your face.
blowing
too.
up in your face. It's really terrible. Oh, and it can also erase all of your buffs. So, we're gonna have to hope for some really good RNG here. Coming up. And so, because of that, Fog King gets called Fog King Roulette, and also the King of RNG. Because Fog King will determine if your run is going to be good or bad. And it's right at the very end of the game. Okay, and there's Woon Woon, our final Ponspector. So let's go fight Fog King, and then let's go fight the dragon. For fun.
Yeah, so I think the plot is we'll return to Alchemov to confront Fog King. Fog King happens to be where Melia's bedroom is in the main game.
Yeah, something
Imperial
like that.
Villa.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Villa, yeah. That's basically her quarters or wherever she lives, basically.
Alright here, so, yep, it's kind of just a long walk, and then we'll be in there soon enough.
Yeah. You can fight that fog beast for extra gauge, but
Oh,
it's
you're-
not really worth it.
What time are we at right now?
54, about 55 minutes.
55 minutes. We're on really good pace. I'm still gonna save, because safety, but we're not gonna do that. Yeah, if we were at like 56 minutes, probably would have gone and killed it, but we are on actually insanely good pace. So let's just hope for some good RNG here.
Of course, that good pace doesn't necessarily mean anything, because Fog King could
Oh,
go terribly
absolutely.
wrong for all we know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Fog King, there's just a lot that can go wrong with Fog King. And hopefully I explain it really well while Ragu is fighting it.
Yep, so I'll be letting Aeon completely explain this fight while I'm fighting.
We also
Yeah.
did do a safety save right there, because if we lose during this fight, then it sends us back to the title screen. If we haven't saved, we gotta start all the way over from the beginning. So that's why we do a save.
Yeah, so Fog King, he has a lot of moves. His full moveset is revealed to you in phase 2. So this particular phase of Fog King is not too bad. Agnos Beam is his highest damaging move, or Internal Burst. But yeah, erasing this is the move that we should keep an eye out for. It removes your buffs, and it's really annoying to deal with, especially in phase 2. Ragu got Ponspectors really fast.
Sadly not fast enough, so we're gonna actually go into phase 2 with a little bit. I'm gonna purposefully do almost no bonus damage here, in hopes that we can build up more gauge.
Right.
Oh, that's not gonna be enough. Okay, so phase 2 is gonna be really rough for us. So we're gonna have to get some good RNG here.
Yeah, so in phase 2, his full moveset is revealed. The biggest threat for him to do is to use Agnos Beam, then immediately erasing Mist, and it looks like that might be happening here.
Yep.
Yeah, he did that, so that's what we call
Shoot.
the classic.
That is really
You
rough
have
to get in a run,
Yeah.
especially in marathon. Oh, Melia though.
Oh,
Melia
Melia topples really quickly.
is
but
doing a
it
great
looked like-
job.
Yeah, it looked like Ragu wasn't prepared for that.
Oh! Okay, so it's gonna use Internal Burst. I'm going to Ponspector.
Yeah, just do some.
Just
Oh,
notice
yeah.
Melia's health.
Oh yeah, I didn't see Melia's
We are
health.
going to do safety strats. I know that we're
Yeah.
ahead, but we are going to take the heal over the damage.
Yeah,
It'll
fine.
still kill
I
the
noticed that one of the knights actually moved out of range as
Uh-oh.
well.
Uh-oh, that's not good. That has not happened in a very long time.
I think it moved out of range.
Oh, mispress. Oh, shoot. Okay,
So
I don't have
mispress
armor
is
up.
the move where you can hit topple for 17 seconds. It can be a whole party thing, but luckily it was only Ragu. Sorry, it was only a Schultz. So the whole party wasn't coupled. So that means one of your party members can pick you back up. So you won't suffer it for the full 17 seconds. Collision Burst is Fog King's longest move.
Yeah,
So
we just
if
kinda
you
gotta...
were to activate Ponspectors, you would have to wait a long time for it to go off. But yeah, I don't think I've seen Melia topple that quickly.
Yeah, I've been having like really good luck like the last 2 days playing this with Melee as topples. I don't know why. Oh,
Oh, that's good for, yeah.
yeah, that'll end the fight actually. Oh, if I do bonus damage. There we go. That should end the fight now. Oh, for sure. Okay, I'll say time when we're done. Time. Yeah,
GG.
that was good. Honestly, that was a
Just
really
taking a
good
look
run.
to see what our final time here is.
Don't give up. No matter how many times it returns, we can bring it down.
We'll go
just
59:13.
We did it. We sub 1
Or
hour it.
15
Okay.
is when the timer would start. But yeah, that's sub
Perfect.
hour.
That's
a big
excellent.
deal.
So
Yeah.
we met the dragon incentive, so it's time to explain the dragon while this cutscene's going on. We're gonna skip the end of this cutscene. It's seriously 6 minutes long, so I'm not gonna make you guys sit through all of that. So essentially the dragon is supposed to be the hardest boss in the game, and it is. It's incredibly difficult. So for this fight, we're gonna go in with exactly what we have right now. It is possible to win if you have really good RNG. So what can happen is there's a move, I don't know its full name, but essentially it has tail in the name. And that move will topple you, pretty much topple your whole party and deal almost your entire health gauge, even with Monado armor. Monado armor is a 60% defense buff. So we have to hope for that not to happen. And that's pretty much it. There's also Ignis Breath and some other things. We're also going to have to hope for extra chances. You didn't actually get to see an extra chance happen, but essentially that means you get to use 2 Ponspector Union Strikes in a row. And it's extremely useful for this fight in particular. So how I'm going to manage this is we're going to do, I think, 2 to 3 attempts. And then once we're done with those attempts, and if they fail, we're going to move to a higher level save profile, and we're going to kill it there, where it's going to be pretty much a 100% chance of beating it. So you guys can see the ending, like, cutscene of the actual dragon fight. So we're going to skip this. Like I said, it's a 6-minute cutscene. Extremely good. I highly suggest, like, listening to... what's the final song for this? I don't remember.
Is it the same as the base game?
Yeah, it's the base
Beyond the
game.
Sky.
Beyond the
Yeah,
Sky.
Beyond the Sky. It's an acoustic variation of it. It's extremely good. But
Every
we don't have the
Xenoblade
time
game
to
has
listen
an
to it.
amazing song at the end.
Oh yes, absolutely. All right, so let's load up that save and fight the dragon a couple of times, shall we? So I'm gonna start a timer on my end because I think I have 10 minutes allotted towards this. So let's try and not pass that. Let's not start a new game. This is faster, by the way, than dealing with a new game. So we're gonna do that really quick. That was impulse, by the way. I'm extremely sorry. And then we'll load up a save profile. You get to see the actual... Oh wait, that's just the home screen. I always show the home screen in my runs. Sorry, that was an accident though.
Yeah, one time Ragu managed to get to the eShop through that. It was kind of funny.
It's really amazing
During
how
a
many
race.
things I've done. So yeah, to put that into perspective, what you need to do to get that, you need to press the home button, press the plus button, press the A button 3 times in a row, and that will get you into the eShop. So don't do that in a speed run. It's not a good idea.
We're still not sure exactly how he managed that, but we're guessing that he accidentally tabbed out of the home screen, then pressed plus instead of home to go back. And ended up just tabbing forward into the eShop in the middle of a speedrun, mind you.
And a race to make it even worse. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go fight this thing, shall we? So that Nerthus Necropolis place we were before has a whole new area opened up in the back once you have all the Ponspectors. And I should also explain that this run, the all Ponspectors run, was a little bit contested for a while on if we should kill the dragon or not. It was determined the dragon is so terrible and so RNG heavy that we do not kill the dragon in this run, even though it's the all Ponspectors run and this is a Ponspector quest.
And that's saying something considering the Fog King is already a huge pain when it comes to RNG.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is Fog King, but like 10 times worse. We're just gonna aggro some stuff. It doesn't really matter. They'll de-aggro soon enough. Oh, I forgot to start my timer. We'll start it now. I'll just say it took like 30 seconds to a minute there. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to kill it. If I can kill it at level 70, which I have managed to do many times, like I've practiced this a ton, that will be really, really good. I do hope that I'm able to show that here. So once that health bar goes away, we can examine this chest. And the Ponspectors. So to explain the Ponspectors a little bit more, they weren't actually here to, Oh! Okay, I'm not going to explain that yet. I'll explain it when we inevitably die to Dragon the first time. We got a glitch. This is a glitch where the fighting music continues into the cutscene. It almost never happens, but it has happened to me one time before. So this is the second time ever that it's happened to me. So you're all really lucky to be able to see this. It's not up to chance. I think you just need to press A at a very precise moment. I don't know the frame window because I've only gotten it now twice, but it definitely makes this cutscene a lot more enjoyable, because without this, it's pretty much just silence. This has almost never happened before, I see someone say in chat, and that's pretty much true. It's very close. If there was that one time I hadn't managed to do this, it would have been the first time. Okay, so we're pretty much going to lose this first fight. There's almost no way to win the first one, unless you're like, you need to be past lucky to get the first try. So we're just going to use this chance to build up some Ponspector.
Did you even upgrade people?
Oh, you're right. I forgot an entire upgrade. That's convenient.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
So we need to go upgrade Nene after this. Oops. There is a mandatory upgrade. If you don't get it, you will lose the fight. There is no chance to win. Make me not low tension, please. Okay, cool. They made me happy.
Nene has last stand here.
Yeah, Nene has last stand. She'll not live. Okay. She was supposed to live, but she didn't. We're just gonna make Melia continue to aggro. Okay, so now I'm the only one alive. Perfect. So we have Ponspectors. We're not going to use them. We're just going to kind of sit here and hit it a bit because we can. This is intentional because there's no way we can win it against it with a Ponspector Union Strike. Okay, so now we're going to go in and we're going to do our second attempt. I will say, I'm amazed how far we made it for not having a proper build. So the only change that needs to be made for the build to actually be, like, usable for this is we need to upgrade Chive's Sobe here, or Sobat, I guess. And that will allow us to paralyze the dragon, and paralyzation makes it so you can't do auto attacks. Which means the dragon, like that, 1,000 damage attack it was constantly doing, it just won't do those. Of course, that's another layer of RNG for this fight, though, because paralysis is not 100%. It's a high chance, but it's not there. Something, I'd like to say it appears like 50% of the time. And yet again, we don't really care about aggro. We are going to use aggro here, though. So when you have aggro in this game, your party gauge fills slowly. And also doesn't, like, degrade. So by, building aggro here, we are allowing ourselves to hold on to the gauge that we already have, as well as build up a little bit that we lost along the way. And now we're just going to stand here, because there's another important thing for this fight if we want a chance to win, so we need that to de-aggro really quick. It will. We need to get this prompt. We got 3. Preferably we get 5, but...
You got a friend coming right behind you. Oh, there he goes.
Okay, so we're not going to use it right away. We're going to hold on to it. There is a reason for this. Brave Fang, that's fine. It's not really fine, but we're doing all right. So, oh, paralysis. Hey, that's really convenient. I probably should have Shadow-Eyed earlier, but... Another Grave Fang? What is happening? Okay, so multiple Grave Fangs is actually quite good. We're looking for something that's not Grave Fang, though. I might just use a Ponspector, though, on the next one, just to be careful. Like that. Oh, I could have not. Okay, but that's fine. We're going to go for an extra chance. We're going to go for a little bit of RNG here. We could have healed, but healing is incredibly risky in this fight. because it can just lower your health back down anyways. You don't really have control over it. Okay, we didn't get an extra chance. That's too bad. Oh, we got the tail. It's it. there's the tail of bad RNG for you.
No.
So we'll do one. Looking at the time, yep, we can do one more attempt, and then we're gonna load up a save that's higher level, so you can all see the fancy Ponspector portrait at the end of the game.
The move's called Karapaya Tail, by the way.
Ah, thank you. I never remember that one, even though it kills me every time flawlessly. Yeah, if you go into this fight, I think the more reasonable level to go into this fight is 75. That's when it becomes much more sane and a little bit less RNG dependent. And as you can also build like stuff with gems in this game, and gems boost your stats and do all sorts of fancy things, and we of course don't have any, which makes it much harder. And armor, we don't have any armor. So there are ways to make this fight easier. If you were playing casually, you would still have a problem with this fight, but it would be significantly easier. Yeah, I think the lowest that I've seen someone do it is 75 in normal mode at the moment. Shout out to LeGrand for that one, by the way. He was the one I watched. Okay, we got lucky with paralysis again. Now we just need to get lucky with everything else. Okay, we got lucky there. That was early. I might stun it to stop this. No, I'm gonna...
Ponspectors, heed my call.
Yet again, this fight is pretty much pure RNG. You can't do too much to prep for it. Great Fang? Okay, that'll probably kill us. Okay, so we're gonna go load up a different save. We'll definitely kill it, and no problems with that save. The save that I'm gonna boot up is a 100% save that I worked on during a run. 100% does kill the dragon. It's part of the run, so this would be about what we would be seeing in a 100% run at this point. Except I also equipped a few gems just to make sure that there was no RNG issues for this final attempt here. So yeah, we would be at level 78 in a 100% run. That's kind of crazy. Also, Shulk is using the Monado, don't worry about it. It's just different looking now.
Everyone also has neat outfits on.
Ooh, that's not good luck. It doesn't matter, but we're on the reasonable level here. This is really the level that you should be during this fight. This is every single quest completed in the game. Doesn't really matter when we Ponspector in it now.
Ponspectors till we die.
And the dragon is dead. Yet again, it is possible at level 70. It's just pure RNG, so if you ever feel like doing it, you can sit down for a couple of maybe hours. It could take up to that long. Just kind of hitting the dragon and hoping that it dies.
Probably
here's the
explain what
final
it is the
cutscene.
Ponspectors are doing here, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the Ponspectors the whole time, they weren't actually on the shoulder to just like map it out. They were here because they don't have money and they wanted to make money. And they thought these were going to be golden mushrooms that they could sell. And all the mushrooms are all like shriveled up and, you know, they're not going to sell for anything. So they're all depressed. But just wait a second. What if they dug below the mushrooms? They end up finding treasure. And everything is happy. And we're happy because we get something really cool out of it that I will spend a very short amount of time explaining before wrapping this up, because it's cool enough that I should at least mention what it does.
Did mention that the two things not unlike most are food and money, so golden mushrooms seem right up their alley.
It's the perfect combination of both. but they're so grateful that we helped them out. So you know what we're gonna get from that? How about a picture? I thought it would pop up there. Now it's okay. Here it is. And that Nerthus crown we picked up is a really cool item because it allows all of the Ponspectors to be at high tension. And of course, high tension is a good thing in this game. And here's another Easter egg for all of you. You can pick up a dried golden shroom. Okay, so I think that's it for the run. So, yeah, I guess shoutouts to the Xenoblade community and everyone in it for, you know, making the Future Connected runs get so good so fast. I mean, the number of things that were found within the first couple of weeks were really amazing. So yeah, and we're very welcoming of people joining the community, and if you're interested in Ponspector Percent, I heavily suggest you play this. It is an incredibly fun run, it has a great route, and there's only myself really running it at the moment. So if you want to watch more of this sort of stuff, you can watch me at ClassicRagu on Twitch. I'll be playing Xenoblade X here soon since I got enough followers to reach that incentive. Otherwise, you can follow my commentators Aeon at AeonFrodo on Twitch, and Evan you can find at Evan_XC on Twitch. Is there anything else you two want to add? Otherwise, that's it from me.
Nope, just thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us.